Perfect. So, hey, everyone. I'm Audrey with Generation Schools Network. Thanks so much for joining. If you are joining from one of the schools, if you wouldn't mind putting in the chat the school you're joining from and about how many students are in your classroom, that'd be awesome. We have Amber here from Southwest Airlines, and I'm just going to go ahead and let her take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you, Audrey. Thanks for letting me in your space virtually today. I appreciate you all. I have a tiny bit of a cough, so I'm happy that I am actually virtually with you all this week and not in person. I don't want to be responsible for any summer colds. So excited to be able to talk about my passion today, which is Southwest Airlines, and a lot of career pathways and opportunities for you all once you do graduate from high school. I know it seems like a long ways away for some of you right now, but I'm glad that you're given these opportunities to kind of explore these career pathways early on. So again, Southwest Airlines, opportunities for you all once you do turn 18 and graduate from high school. Okay, our flight path for today, we're going to talk about my Southwest story. We'll talk about Southwest Airlines in general, some job opportunities after high school, career mobility and pathways, and then we'll have time at the end for Q&A. Okay, so again, my name is Amber. I have been with Southwest Airlines for about 11 years. I did not know what I wanted to do after I graduated from high school. I did go to college. I got my degree in communications and marketing. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but what I knew was I wanted to work for a company that cared about its employees and had a great culture. So in some of my marketing classes, my professors would talk about Southwest Airlines, just the culture and the history, and it's something that just really stuck out to me. And so I moved to Dallas without a job, and I stalked Southwest until they hired me to do something. Fun fact about myself, I was actually scared of flying when I started working for Southwest. So I said, I'm not sure what I want to do, but I will never be a flight attendant. And so I started in a very entry-level role. It was called customer relations at the time. They took phone calls and emails and letters from customers who had poor experiences basically on the aircraft, whether that be flight delays, cancellations, they missed a wedding, they missed a funeral, anything that prevented them from getting to their destination. So I did that for about 1.5 years, and then naturally I became a flight attendant, and I did that for 8 years. So overcame my fear of flying, became a flight attendant, and then I got married, I had a baby. I decided that maybe that lifestyle wasn't right for me. So I came into this space, which is recruiting. I work primarily with K through 12 students and inspiring them to choose aviation and Southwest as a future career. So that is my Southwest story. Okay, jump in a little bit about Southwest Airlines in general. We are based in Dallas, Texas. We started in 1971. When we started, we had only 3 aircraft serving 3 cities in Dallas or in Texas. So the growth that we have seen over the past 52 years is pretty incredible. We, starting with only 3 cities, we now fly to over 100 destinations. We have over 700 aircraft in our fleet, so going from 3 to over 700. We have a lot of very smart people behind our operations, smart people behind our finances. We have never in our 52-year history laid off an employee, which is incredible going through, especially 9/11, COVID. I was a flight attendant during COVID. That was a very scary time for the airline industry. If y'all have ever flown on an airplane, you know that it is packed like sardines inside that aircraft. You know, there's so many passengers on board. During COVID, no one was flying, no one was traveling. So we'd have like 2 people on board the entire aircraft. So it was a very scary time. We took a lot of measures to ensure that our employees kept their jobs and remained safe. And we ended up coming out of COVID really strong and didn't lay off a single employee. So yes, now we have more than 66,000 employees across over 30 departments. Okay, so who we are. Our purpose is to connect people to what's important in their lives through friendly, reliable, low-cost air travel. Our vision is to be the most loved, most efficient, and most profitable airline. And you'll notice in the vision, most profitable is last. That's done on purpose. That's because we truly believe in order to be profitable, we first have to be loved and efficient. So this is a little bit about the Southwest way. Basically, our values are me, we, and Southwest. Me is how I show up as an employee. We is how we work together, the teamwork that we exhibit. And Southwest is how we work for the company. So we have our company promise and our employee promise. We recently changed these to have our employee promise in here. I just love the way that Southwest truly values its people. They do treat us like family, and they value us so much that they created this employee promise and the company promise for us. Okay, let's talk about entry-level jobs after high school. One of the biggest career opportunities for Southwest straight out of high school, especially in Denver, is the ramp agent role. We hire a lot of ramp agents. If you've flown on an airplane, the ramp agents are the ones who load and unload the bags from the aircraft. They're de-icing the planes in the wintertime. They're marshaling the aircraft in and out of the gates with those orange Star Wars-like wands. They are very, very essential to the operation. They are the main point of making sure that the aircraft land and get to the gate and push back from the gate safely and on time. So it's a very essential role at the airport. Really great entry-level position if you do want to get your foot in the door to Southwest. A few requirements: you have to be 18 and have a valid driver's license. So starting pay for that role is $20 an hour with lots of opportunities for increases. It's a union role, so we also offer overtime opportunities, so lots of opportunities to make a lot of money in that role. So we'll talk about career mobility in just one moment here. Aircraft appearance technician, another role right after high school, 18, have your driver's license. They're the ones that kind of clean the plane stem to stem overnight when the aircraft does remain overnight. So that's when the aircraft really gets that deep cleaning. They start at about $17 an hour. Again, they're a union role, so opportunities for a lot of overtime. And then material specialist. So I like to describe this job as kind of the auto zone for the airplane. So we have an entire material store that looks like AutoZone, has parts all over the shelves. They're keeping inventory of those parts. When the mechanics go and work on the aircraft, they'll call them and say, hey, I need this specific part. They're pulling those parts from the shelves and getting those for the mechanics. So many benefits that are amazing at Southwest. As you can imagine, we're an airline. You can fly for free. So you, your parents, if you have children, your children, if you have a spouse, the cool thing is if you're not married, you can designate a companion. So your best friend, your sister, your brother, whoever you want can fly for free on your benefits. So any open seat on Southwest. So it is standby, but you know, I have one of my coworkers, he loves watching the Food Network. So on his day off one time, he saw this burrito on the Food Network on Man vs. Food in Las Vegas. And he hopped on a plane to Vegas and went and tried this burrito and then flew back that night. He did the same thing in San Francisco with the burger that he saw. So just incredible things that you can do. You can vacation, go see your family, do whatever you'd like on your time off. We have a 9.3% 401k company match. So I know that y'all are not thinking about your retirement right now, but I'm sure your teachers will tell you that that's unheard of in any industry, a 9.3% match. That means that dollar for dollar, what you contribute from your paycheck up to 9.3%, Southwest gives back into your 401k. So we have so many employees who have started in those entry-level roles and will retire millionaires because they've contributed that 9.3% their entire career. We have profit sharing. So what profit sharing is basically when the company does well, they put some of that money back in their employees' pockets. So that goes directly into our 401ks. So it's something that you don't really think about, but then you look at your 401k balance and you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So we have a profit sharing day every year that we celebrate, and we'll get like payday candy bars, and it's a really big deal. We also have, of course, competitive medical, dental, and vision insurance as well. So lots of benefits to love. Okay, so what about career mobility? You heard that I am in my third career at Southwest. Southwest is very passionate about looking within in their internal employees when we do promotions, or, you don't have to be promoted. We like to call it more of a corporate jungle gym. So I'll explain that in a moment as well. These employees are actual Southwest employees who all started as ramp agents, and now they're currently in different roles. Jamie started as a ramp agent. He's a flight attendant now. We have a program that's new to Southwest. It's called a Junior Technology Associate program. So basically, they take people without technology degrees, without much background at all in technology, and they put them into this program. And basically, Southwest grooms you into becoming the technology expert that they want you to become, because they believe, we do things a little bit differently with our technology, and they want to teach you that way instead of bringing someone in who has experience, background, a degree in technology. We're grooming you ourselves. So Jimmy went through this program the first year that we had it, actually, and now he's a technology junior associate. Nafal is one of my favorite Southwest stories. He actually started as a ramp agent, and he's now a first officer, a pilot for us. And then Richard is a material stores manager, and he started as a ramp agent as well. So you can see there's a lot of growth opportunity. And this is what I was kind of talking about with the jungle gym. So these bottom roles are all entry-level roles at the airport that you can start out as. And you can see that you can go up, you can go over. So let's say that you start out at the airport as a ramp agent, and you say, I'm not really sure if the ramp agent is the right role for me. In 6 months, you can transfer into being an operations agent, which is the person who does the weights and balances of the aircraft. They work with the pilots a lot, getting that aircraft off the ground as well. If you've flown Southwest, they're the ones that scan your boarding pass when you board an airplane. You can be a customer service agent, materials specialist, any of these roles you can go into after 6 months of being in your current role. Or if you do like leadership, you can go from being a ramp agent to a ramp supervisor, and then an assistant manager of the ramp. You can work your way up all the way to the general manager at the station. Okay, so what else? A lot of people say, what career can you have if you work for an airline, if you work for Southwest? Well, you can be a pilot or a flight attendant. We have hundreds of careers of employees at Southwest who never even touch an airplane. So when I worked at headquarters in Dallas, for example, I never had to touch an airplane. I was on the phones, I was on a computer. I had nothing to do with that operational side of things. So we have, of course, we have aircraft mechanics. You do have to go to school for that. It's a trade school. You can get an A&P license, is what it's called. Airport operations, any role at the airport. Corporate roles, we have a legal department. We hire attorneys. We have Southwest University as our training department. So we hire actual teachers who have taught in schools before into our training department to be teachers of our employees. So many different corporate roles. Customer support are, they work from home actually. So they answer phone calls. They were previously called reservation agents. So they're answering phone calls from our customers, helping them book tickets, things like that. And then of course we have our flight attendants and our pilots who are extremely essential, obviously, to the operation. Okay, so if y'all have a phone and would like to scan this QR code, this is our interest form. It takes you to a form, and it will keep you posted and informed on different careers at Southwest. We also have K through 12 resources. So getting you through high school. If you have Southwest on your radar, we have resources to keep in touch with us as well. So I'll give you a moment if anyone would like to scan that. And then I would love to open the floor for any questions.
I'm curious. You mentioned how there is like a lot of career mobility, say like if you wanted to become a flight attendant after having some of that like entry level experience. Does Southwest like train people internally, or do they like pay for part of like that training or schooling? What does that look like if you want to move into a different role?
That's a really good question. We do all of the training. So, for example, when I worked at headquarters and then I became a flight attendant, I went through 5 weeks of training with all of the other flight attendants who also got hired as well. The ramp agent role, for example, if you start at Southwest, you don't have, no one has any experience. Rarely do people have experience starting at Southwest as a ramp agent, like on the ramp for anyone else. So it's about a 5-week training for the ramp agent role. So we do all of the training for you. It's all paid. We actually send you to Dallas for a portion of that training, which is really cool. You get to go to our corporate headquarters campus, see campus, do some classroom training there. We had this really special experience for new employees where we get to walk the red carpet. So there's people cheering, they have pom-poms. It's just the craziest experience. If you look it up on YouTube, you can find it. There's hundreds of videos. But it's just so cool to get to see that environment. And I love that we do that. All of our new employees that start with us, we fly them to Dallas so they can experience all of that. But yeah, we do all of the training.
It looks like there's a question in the chat. It says, do you get to choose what airport you work at or out of as a pilot or flight attendant?
That's a great question. So I believe we have 11 bases around the country now. So if you're a flight attendant or a pilot, you would be based in, for example, Denver is a base. So if you were based in Denver, you would start and end your trip from Denver. So most of our trips are 3 days, but we have turns, which are just out and back the same day. We have 2-day trips, which means you leave Denver, you overnight in a city somewhere in the country, and then you come back the next day, 3 days and 4 days. So we have pilots and flight attendants, we call it commuting. So you can live anywhere you'd like, but it's on you to get to work. So you basically use your flight benefits and you fly to your base. So for example, we have a lot of commuters from Salt Lake City, Utah, that fly from Salt Lake. They live in Salt Lake, they fly to Denver to start their trip. And then at the end of their trip, they end in Denver and then they fly back to Salt Lake on their own time. We have pilots and flight attendants who live in Europe, Australia. It's crazy. They block everything. It's a super flexible job. So you have the opportunity to block everything together. So they'll block like 4 weeks worth of trips together, and then they'll be off for like 2 months. So they'll work really hard for a month and then they'll be off and be able to go home for 2 months. That's one thing that I love about that flight attendant lifestyle specifically. When I was a new flight attendant, I was flying a ton just to make a lot of money. I was single, I was flying like 6 days in a row and then had 1 day off. Then I'd fly 6 days in a row again. I was working really hard. And then when I had my baby, I was still a flight attendant initially, and I was flying 3 to 4 days a month just to be home with him. So it's extremely flexible to fit any sort of lifestyle.
Could you speak a little bit about things that you did in high school that kind of translated to what you're doing now in your career?
Things that I did in high school, I would highly encourage you all to take advantage of joining any clubs or organizations, playing a sport, anything that's up your alley. So for example, I was a member of FBLA, which is Future Business Leaders of America. I don't know if y'all have that opportunity still. That was many, many moons ago. But yeah, so a business organization that I took advantage of and kind of gave me some real world insight. Opportunities like this, always keeping an open mind. I never in a million years thought that I would work for an airline until I started learning more about Southwest. So the fact that your teachers are bringing in resources for you to learn about these different career pathways, always keep an open mind, even if you think you know exactly what you want to do. Playing a sport, being in these organizations gives you that teamwork. As a recruiter, I love seeing activities, sports, anything like that on a resume, especially for a young person. A lot of young people, they don't work through high school, they don't have a job, or maybe they do have a job, but they don't feel like they have a lot to fill their resume. But anything that you have that you do extracurricular outside of school, always make sure that you put that on your resume. Take advantage of any opportunities you have that your teachers are giving you to build those resumes early on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else you
Former
want?
FBLA, just to throw that out there, Amber.
Oh, what'd you say? I'm so sorry.
I said former FBLA as well, just to throw that out there.
Yes.
I think I just have one final question. What was your favorite part about being a flight attendant? And then what's your favorite part about like your current role with Southwest?
Yeah, great question. About being a flight attendant, I loved seeing new places. I got to see a lot of things that I wouldn't ever have gotten to see otherwise. I've been to a ton of cities. I took advantage of my flight benefits. Not only do we get to fly Southwest any open seat, we can also fly standby on other airlines. So I was able to go to Amsterdam. We just pay the taxes basically when we fly other airlines. So I was able to go to Amsterdam for like $200 round trip. I went to Germany. I actually traveled to Germany by myself and was there for like 72 hours and came back, just explored just on my own, which was an incredible experience. I went to the Caribbean. I went to a lot of places, met a ton of people, getting to interact with our passengers. You just never know someone's story. People travel for all sorts of different reasons. Some are really happy, some are really sad. And if you really get to know someone in that short flight, it's amazing what you can learn about people. So I loved getting to meet all sorts of new people. Favorite thing about my current role is things like this, talking about Southwest Airlines and inspiring people like you to choose Southwest Airlines as a future career, and getting to meet students and help them and do professional development and career development with them. And then seeing in turn, so for example, we used to have sadly high school interns that were outside of Dallas. So we had 4 high school interns last summer that were working at the Denver station, and 3 of the 4 of them are coming back to Southwest. One just got hired on full-time a couple of weeks ago at the station. One is currently in the application process, and then the other one is going to college, and he's so passionate about Southwest. He does like all of his school presentations on Southwest. So just seeing that inspiration that we have built in students, I absolutely love that.
Awesome. Thank you. Are there any last questions before we wrap up? Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Amber, for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me, everyone. Good luck and happy summer.
Happy summer. Thank you, Amber.